So welcome to All Eyes on You, Mastering Visibility to attract dream clients. Today, we are actually talking about followers and subscribers, not just clients. Let's see what the slide says I'm supposed to say next. This is me. I'm Elise Michelle. I'm a YouTube strategist, and I am the founder of this event. And hopefully today, we'll get it live streaming properly. If you are catching us live, go ahead and drop a hashtag live in the chat. If you're catching the replay, give us hashtag replay, and we are going to get started. So we started with networking, which we have already done. For those of you who are not in person, hopefully you said hi to someone in the comments. For those of you who are in person, I hope that you all got to meet at least one person before we got started. Did everybody get to meet at least one person? Okay, I'm gonna ask for engagement this whole time, and you can choose to refuse, but I'm gonna keep asking and making funny faces. So, okay, so the order of events today, we are gonna start with the networking, which we just did. Then we're going to talk about the importance of visibility. So this is where I have an opportunity to talk to you about visibility, why it's important for your business, and the 5 stages of visibility. Then we're going to break out into our expert sessions. We have 4 experts here today, and I'm going to show you their pictures in just a moment. Each of us will be talking about our area of expertise. For example, I'm a YouTube strategist. Then we're going to break out into our interactive sessions. This is our little breakout where you get a chance to talk to one of the experts about your specific business and see how you can apply what we talked about today, or questions that you have in general for the area of expertise. And then finally, we're going to go to cocoa, crepes, and coffee for after hours coffee. Now, for those of you who are joining us online, you can't join us for coffee because you're not in Houston, Cypress area. You also don't get to enjoy the interactive sessions. So if you are in Houston or Cypress watching this next time, you should be here in person. All right. Is everybody ready to get started? Who wants to get started? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So our first expert is Natalie. She's up here running the camera. She is an ads expert and just a flippin' awesome human being. Our next speaker is Tiffany Mason. She is also an awesome human being. She is at the back of the room, and she is a sales analyst. She helps you fix the holes in your funnels, in your sales. Funnels probably is not the right word to use there, but that's okay. Then we have Cassie. She's over here on the right side, left side for you guys. She is a LinkedIn expert, and I am very excited to have her here speaking with us because LinkedIn is one of those that I haven't quite conquered yet, and I know she's going to give us some valuable insights. And there is room for you. So if you are someone who would like to be able to talk to visibility and help other business owners with visibility and understanding your area of expertise, you can message me, you can email me, or if you're here in the room, tell me before you leave today. And then finally, there's me. I'm Elise. I'm a YouTube strategist and visibility coach. And that brings us to the second thing on our agenda, which is the importance of visibility. Now, for those of you who don't know, I actually have a very hard time speaking in person. I have done thousands of videos online, and you can put a camera in front of me and have me sitting at my desk and I'll be completely fine. But as soon as you put me in a room like this one with people that are looking up at me, I struggle a little bit. So just bear with me as we go, and I promise we'll get through it. I'm going to attempt not to stare at my tablet the entire time today, but if I do, just forgive me. All right, so how can marketing amplify your business presence? That's what I want to talk about first. So before we can talk about visibility, I want to define what that means. So dictionary.com says that visibility is the quality or state of being discovered or perceived or readily noticed. So my question for you is this. Is your business able to be discovered, perceived, or readily noticed? If you say, yes, Elise, my business is able to be discovered, I want you to raise your hand if you're in the room. If you're online, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. And if you're like, no, people can't find my business unless I tell them about it, like on purpose, just me reaching out to them, I want you to put a 2 in the chat or keep your hand down. So is there anybody here in the room who says, yeah, my business can be found? Okay, all right. So for those of you who said yes or raised your hand, how? You don't have to say it out loud, just in your head, think to yourself, how is your business found? And is that enough? I'm going to assume, forgive me, you know what they say about assuming, but I'm going to assume that because you're here, it must not be enough. Because otherwise, why would you have come to a visibility event? Right? So who wants to know some things you can learn about visibility and how to get more people to know that your business exists? Okay, awesome. Okay. So what does visibility mean for your business? Well, it means 5 things. First, you are able to get new people to find out that you exist. I call them newbies or traffic. Second, You are able to get those people who discover that you exist to follow, subscribe, pay attention to you, to go out of their way to make sure they learn more about you. Third, you are able to turn those people into actual leads, where instead of them just following or subscribing, they actually reach out to you and say, me, give me more information. Fourth, you are able to turn those people into allies or raving fans, where they not only are interested in what you're doing and say they want more information, they send more people to you. And then finally, you can turn those people into customers and clients, money. If you don't make that money, you don't have a business. Do you know what you have? A hobby, yes, 100%. I love that you knew the answer to that. Thank you. Did I say that to you before? Or are you just, okay. All right, so this is where, if you're paying attention, you're probably thinking to yourself, what the flip is this line for? Why is there this line between these two pieces? Maybe it's just decorative. What do you guys think? Do you think it's decorative, or you're like, no, I think there's probably a reason?
There's a reason.
Okay, so this is the reason. The people above this line are interested in you. The people below this line are connected to you. This line is where things cross from vanity metrics to reality. This is where they go from some nameless nobody to someone who actually makes an impact on your business. So this line is really important. Now, I think I told you, today we're talking about followers and subscribers. Last month, we talked about newbies and traffic. We won't be meeting for March, but in April, we'll be talking about leads. So we're focusing all this time above the line. So why would we do that? Does anybody have a guess, or would you like me to just tell you? You can't turn someone into an ally or raving fan if they don't know you exist, right? So logically, you still have to focus on all of these steps, or you can't get here. And so that's why we're taking the time every single month to talk about a different stage of visibility. I have no idea where I'm supposed to be on my thing. We're just going to keep going. So today we're talking about followers and subscribers. And what I want to know is who here wants more followers, subscribers, connections, depending upon the platform, for their business? Okay, good. Then you're in the right place. That's awesome. If you're online, I want you to drop a number 3. I don't think we got there yet. A number 3 in the chat if you're like, yeah, I want more followers and subscribers. And if you're like, nah, you know what? This isn't for me. I'm not interested. I want you to drop a 4 in the chat. All right, what are we supposed to do now? Oh, we're so good. We're just moving right along. Okay, so this is where I want to tell you about our upcoming events. So like I said, we do this every month. We're not going to do it in March. But we have not only the All Eyes on You event, we also have a networking game night. And this is for those of you who like to play either nerd games. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're probably not one of those people. Or family games. In fact, our last game night, we actually have people here in the room who came. And I played Life for the first time in I don't know how long. And it was hilarious, especially to see how Natalie responded. So if you want to come out for a time of just kind of goofing around and taking a break, but still being able to be around other people who understand what it's like to be a business owner, that event is for you. If you're online and you're not in the Houston, Cypress area, sucks to be you. Just kidding. I actually have an online networking game night as well. So if you comment below that you want to play online, I will give you an invitation to that group and you can come and join us there. So our next in-person game night is Friday, March the 15th. I do not have a date yet for the next networking game night online because I need to see who wants to come and then we'll decide. I also don't have a day yet for the next All Eyes on You event because to come here in the library, you only can book it 6 weeks in advance. And if you count, we're not yet to April yet. So once I have that date, I will let you know. The best way to make sure that you are notified is to join the Facebook group or to follow us on Eventbrite or Meetup, and then you'll be notified of the next event. Those of you in the room, you should be scanning these QR codes. Those of you not in the room, the URLs are at the bottom so that you can join us for those things. And now it is time for our expert session with Natalie T13.
15.
15. Man, I can't get that right.
It's okay. It's a lot.
Did you already switch the microphone? Do we need to worry about that?
No, I got it.
Okay, you need this,
I will
though.
take the remote. Hi, guys. I'm Natalie with the long last name. Here I am. That's me, if you couldn't tell. Curly hair and all the things. So I am the CEO and founder of T15 Marketing and Media. I have been doing this professionally for 12 years, working with all sizes of businesses, from small startups, small businesses, all the way to multi-million and billion-dollar businesses. I love what I do. I love all the different things that I have. I've focused primarily on the real estate multifamily education market, but I also have worked with people who sell macaroons and people who've had historically generation-long businesses that's passed down generation to generation. If you guys know of a very sweet place called Drum Goals Fine Writing, shout out to you guys. It's been around for 60 years, and I did the marketing for them as well, and all these big hotshot multifamily real estate investors and more. So today I'm going to be talking about the misconceptions of paid marketing. I actually chose to do this because I think when you have a business, there's a lot of expectation when you put money into the marketing side. And I just want to give you guys a realistic view of what this looks like and what your journey might consist of. So, overview of what the paid online marketing advertising is and the significance of the digital marketing today. Alrighty. So, common misconceptions. And again, I've been doing this for 12 years. So because of that, I have run into this a lot. And really, the biggest thing when you're working with any marketer is just communication is key, right? But a lot of the misconceptions is I put money into my Facebook ad or my Instagram post. I boosted the post. I see that I got more viewers, and that's great. That's exciting. But I didn't get any sales, and I don't really understand why. So everybody kind of thinks, all right, I put money in, I should get something that has money out. There should be a direct correlation. Because I spent $500 this month on ads, that means they're going to absolutely buy my product, right? The thing is that you have to build a relationship. And also, there's the one-size-fits-all strategy. We really need to define what our target box is. Who is our ideal client, and who are we actually marketing to? And I'll kind of explain that a little bit more in a second. So first, we kind of have to go through the sales funnel to kind of explain why and where. We talked about the awareness and the interests, but we talked about you're not going to have these allies and people who are absolutely dedicated to you at the very top. If you get 1 million people looking at your business, and that 1 million people spans from all of the United States as well as other countries, but you're a local bake shop in Houston, then you're probably not going to see the results of that the same way you would if you really define who your target audience is. And so the way that beginning works is you have the lead, you put your ad out, and really, I'll explain again in the next slide, but you have that, and they kind of get to know you. And repetition is how they're going to start remembering who you are. And based on your content and what you're putting out there, if it's relatable, if it's something that they resonate with, then that's going to ultimately go into the interest. And then if they actually like the product that you're serving, that's when they make decision on whether or not I'm going to continue to look these people up, and then the action. Sorry. Alrighty. So back to it. Who's your target audience? I kind of want to talk to somebody in the room who has a business right now that they can, okay, I see. Go ahead, Helen.
My target audience is, I would call them millennials, ages 38 to 45, who want to buy a home.
Okay, so what exactly do you do? Are you a real estate agent?
No, I'm a mortgage loan officer.
Mortgage loan officer. Okay. So you're finding somebody who's in their later 30s, early 40s. They're looking to buy a home, probably not a first-time home buyer, or is?
Can be, but doesn't have to be, but probably yes.
Okay.
With children.
With children. Okay, so that's great. I love that you said that. So you kind of define that audience. So let's say, for example, are you an independent or work with another business?
No.
Perfect. Okay. So you're a mortgage broker. And what you're doing is you're trying to find somebody in their late 30s, early 40s, has children, right? So when you're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google, right? They start asking you these questions like, how far of a range what's your radius? What's your, what kind of people, what kind of income? And that's a big factor too for mortgage brokers. If you know that you're selling it to family, so probably anywhere like a standard 3-2 or a two-story house, then that's a factor. They're going to have to meet a certain income requirement to even do that. Otherwise, they're going to stay renters, and that doesn't benefit you, right? So these are the things we need to be thinking about, and almost go so far as creating a name and a whole narrative for the imaginary person that you built in your head. Because based on that is going to meet results. And so look, I jumped ahead a little bit. Who has a business? We got it right here. So so that's a little bit of that. Anybody else have a business that they want to, okay, how about you?
So I would say middle class families. And then if I break it down a little bit more, I would say Christians, educators, and children.
Okay, and what exactly do you do?
Financial coaching.
Financial coaching. Love that. Love that. I need that. Oh, I remember during game night you telling me this. And also just to kind of jump back on Elisa's story, I played live for the first time ever. And I had a little bit of a breakdown.
A little bit?
It was pretty bad. It's just because it was so realistic. And, I think I came from a very low income household. I lived in a trailer. My parents were from out of the country, first generation, second generation parents in the United States. And coming from that and not understanding financial literacy until I was an adult and everything else, I was the first person to go to college and graduate college. I have a master's degree. And I fast tracked it 2 years for my bachelor's, 1 year for my master's. So I sped through that really fast. So it was a rude awakening when I decided in the game of life to take the exact same course I did now. And life hit me in the face several times. But you know what? It got me mentally prepared. I was like, what do you mean I'm $100,000 in debt right off the bat? What do you mean I have to pick a career now and I have to buy a house? And oh my God, it was way too much. And it was too real, but I think it's absolutely necessary. You introduce that to your children young. I think that would be super perfect. Okay. I love this. I put this here because I was thinking about it pretty deeply. And I also have been fishing a lot recently. So raise your hand if you've ever gone fishing. All right. Okay. So let's say that there's 1,000 fish in a pond and then 1,000 fish in the ocean. Which one do you want to go fishing in?
Pond.
Okay, that makes sense. See, that's a logical answer. And you would be 100% right. And I kind of think about this, and I know this kind of looks ass backwards, but it's not. If you are in a tiny boat and you have the vast ocean, the amount of potential fish that are in that area that you are in is probably not a lot. This one's more concentrated. And I talk about this because remember we talk about the target audience and who that is. I can put in thousands of dollars of ad spend and it'll show that, okay, all these people followed me. And this often happens with my clients. They buy followers. They buy leads. And when they're doing that, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to convert to anything. And so I want to open your eyes to this idea that numbers don't mean anything. It's engagement. So in the ocean, we're probably getting, and this is very nice numbers because this is not real. This will be definitely a lot lower of a number. But I put 10%. But in reality, you'd probably get 2-3% if you were doing this in a way that wasn't targeting a specific audience. So if you were not targeting somebody and you were just boosting your post to boost it, and not saying, this is my target box, I want to make sure I'm targeting somebody in their late 30s, early 40s. All of a sudden, now your 16-year-olds are seeing these ads for houses or to buy a house. They're not looking to do that. And there's some strategies when you're doing recognition where that works, because you know that they're going to maybe 10 years down the line or 3 years down the line, they're going to buy into you. That works, but in your case, that wouldn't work. So that being said, here we have a pond and it's our target audience. It's our dedicated following. We're going to have a lot more engagement because they've already, one, we have the thing that they want. And if you're doing it right, they're going to resonate with you. When I work with my clients, I always try to remind them that they buy into the people. They don't just buy into the product. And almost everybody here has a business that there's somebody else who has a very similar business, and you have competition. And that's why we always say, like, the more niche, the more you can make quicker, because like there's not a lot of you. But in the case of a mortgage broker, there's a lot of mortgage brokers, and that's a lot of competition, especially when you're going against the big box guys. And so they need to get to know who you are as an individual and why they should choose you over the other guys, right? And so that's going to go through storytelling, educating. You're trying to offer some sort of value to these people. And that's whenever you're doing your ads, if your ad is fixing a problem that they might not even know they had, you're solving a solution, you're offering value, they're going to connect with you a little bit more. So I think this is my second to last slide. So I kind of zoomed through this. Okay, customer experience focus. And this has been a very big thing, especially after, like I mentioned, I work with a lot of multifamily people, investors, and people who raise millions and millions of dollars. And where I find between the good guys who are in the market and the not so good guys is really their engagement with their customers and their attention. So I've talked about adding value to people, but right here, just the basic product awareness, so they know who you are. Product research. Okay, so they had an idea of the product that they want. Maybe it's the latest and greatest iPhone. And so they go look into the specs, and then they go visit the store. And then from here, this is the key. Figuring out that connection piece, asking for the review, the reputation of your business. Because the thing is that if they don't know that you exist, if they don't know what other people have to say about you, then how do they, let me kind of do another example. You go to Best Buy, right? And you want to go buy a camera, but you don't know nothing about cameras. So you go to Best Buy, you go up to the sales guy, and you're like, what's the most popular camera here in this range, roughly? And then you'd be like, oh, this is the most popular one. Then you go on your phone and you look up the review. And you're like, yes, this looks really nice. Same thing when you go to a restaurant. You're like, I want Chinese food today. Okay, local Chinese restaurant. You see the 5-star reviews, and then you see the 2 stars. Which one are you going to, really? It's very rare that you're going to purposely go to a place that has poor reviews because you don't want food poisoning. You don't want bad service. You don't want to be missing your items. So we need to be thinking about what is our experience that we're showing our potential client and customers as well. And so when we're going back to the followers and what I will call the misconceptions is that just because they're following you and just because you paid all this money doesn't mean you're going to have that connection piece. And, I put this here because I was thinking, I have worked with a ton of entrepreneurs, business owners, etc. And they love the idea of marketing, but when it's time to do it, it's a lot and it feels overwhelming. But I was hoping that in this presentation, you guys feel like you're a little bit more educated on what it takes. It does take effort. And if you have multiple people on your team, and especially if it's a youngster, have them start managing the social. Just kind of make sure you're communicating what your story is and what you want to convey to your potential client or customer. If you're doing it on your own, these things dedicate 2-3 hours of your day to making something and scheduling it out. It's free on Facebook. If you want to do Facebook, Instagram, you can schedule them out in advance. Do that. Do something, because if they don't know you, they cannot flow you. You will not get the client because there's so much competition. And the guy who paid the $1,000 to be on the top of Google is going to beat you. The big box guys, we're smaller businesses. We all have this entrepreneur spirit and we all want to grow, and we can grow together as a community and with each other's knowledge. So I'm Natalie. Thank you so much for hearing me speak. And I believe Cassie is next. That's you.
It's a little.
Alrighty. There we go. Oh, thank you. Well, first, that was awesome, Natalie. Thank you so much.
Of course.
So, I'm going to come back to that. How many of you on social media, and I'm going to be talking about LinkedIn, but we can think about this just outside of any, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever. How many of you have really had that experience where, you dug deep? You're putting out a post and you dove into your very soul and pulled out this tremendous insight, and you are just so excited. You're like, okay, people are going to love this. I mean, I'm really giving out the value here, because we hear that all the time, right? You got to give a lot of value. Here I am pouring my heart out. So now I've posted it. And we all know we do this. You post it and you kind of stay there and you're like, I'm going to see those likes rolling in any second. There's going to be, here in the next 3 or 4 minutes, I'm going to have 20 likes because this is gold, right? It doesn't happen. You're kind of, okay, I'll come back a little later. Then a few hours later, you check it. It's like your sister-in-law was the only one that liked it. And you're like, oh, at least she likes me. I didn't know if she did or not. Anyway, you're just like, what happened? What happened? And to make matters worse, you go ahead and scroll the feed of whatever platform this is, right? And you run into this other post that somebody vaguely strung together 5 words. Today's going to be a game changer. And you see 500 likes and multiple comments. And you're like, what in the world? What am I doing wrong? So that's what we're going to talk about, or I'm going to share. But I'm going to be giving it kind of the LinkedIn angle a little bit, because this happens a lot on LinkedIn. So we'll dive into why that is. So a little bit about me. My name's Cassie Lincoln. I'm not from this area of Houston. We're about an hour away, Lake Houston area, over by Atascocita, Kingwood area. So yeah, love it there. I call what I do basically being a thought leadership expert, because what I do is I really help. My main client are usually a coach, a consultant, someone that's an expert at what they do. And I help them actually attract clients to them on LinkedIn, because, chasing down leads is kind of exhausting. And wouldn't it be great if we just kind of logged in every day and had people coming to us to say, hey, I want to meet with you. I want to work with you. So that's what I help people do. So in the example I gave about that heart-wrenching experience you had with that post, let's diagnose the issue a little bit, and then we're going to do kind of a deep dive into each of these. So there could be one or more of several different things happening that is causing this to happen. So you could have what I call the audience mismatch. You could have actually a good match with your audience, but maybe they're not really primed yet. They don't really know you yet. Then it could be that your content is a bit of a mismatch. We've also got a couple other things around your timing, what I call your content not being sticky. I'll talk about what that means. And then I call it platform interference. And that's really where, LinkedIn or Instagram, we all know there are these little things the algorithm does that, you unknowingly somehow trigger it or make it upset at you. So it's like, oh, no, we're not going to share your post. So we'll talk about some of those. So I mentioned I work with experts, and this is a pilot. I assume he's a pilot. That's what I was looking for when I was looking for an image on Canva. He looks like a pilot to me, friendly fellow. And with a pilot, he's an expert at what he does, right? So he's been to school, he's probably has all these flight hours, he's got a lot of experience. And so he could go on social media and talk a lot about, flying and his adventures and how to troubleshoot things that come up. But do you think these folks would really be all that interested in hearing from him? If these folks here, these cooking students, are the ones that are following him, then he has what I call an audience mismatch. Because, hey, we don't know every single person here. Maybe one of them happens to be a pilot as well as wanting to study cooking, but that's going to be the outlier. What we really want is to be this guy. This is, I'm assuming he's a chef and also probably teaching this class. And we see that this audience, they are basically enthralled with him. We've got note-taking going on. We've got smiles, people looking at him. That's what we want. We want an audience that's interested and a match to what we do. And so it can happen very, very easily to end up with an audience mismatch, really on any platform. I'm going to give an example just for myself. When I started my business a few years back, I didn't really talk about it, but on my kind of introductory slide, I mentioned I worked at Chevron for 15 years. So over the course of that 15 years, I'm networking with a lot of Chevron employees on LinkedIn. Well, when I left Chevron to start my business, I don't think a lot of those folks are really very interested in what I'm doing now. Some that personally know me might be a little interested, but generally speaking, I've got an audience mismatch that I have to address with my following. So how do we do that? The nice thing about LinkedIn is you can just actually build an audience. And it's actually fairly straightforward to do. I could probably do a whole class just on it alone. But with LinkedIn, you can think of it as a bit of a search engine as well as, a social media platform. Really, all of them are search engines in a sense. But LinkedIn has very powerful filters where you can go in and you can actually search and say, if I'm, for instance, I mentioned I work with a lot of coaches. I can go search for people with job titles of, life coach, business coach, financial coach, whatever that may be. And I can actively reach out and I can introduce myself. I can send a connection request. And I can actually start bringing people to me that would actually be interested in what I have to say. Another way you can do this besides connecting, and this is huge this year on LinkedIn, is participating. I always say don't forget to be social on social media. It's kind of in the title there. But it can be, when you're in business, it can be really easy to forget that aspect of things. But a lot happens in the comments. And that is another way you can build a great audience. You can leverage other people's audiences. For instance, there's a lot of really great influencers on LinkedIn that are very active. Research your own target and think about, hey, who might they be following? Follow those folks. Start engaging in the comments. Start conversations there. It's another great way to attract people to you. So, now that we have addressed our audience mismatch, there's another potential issue with the audience. They might not be engaging. Or they're just sort of like kind of blank stares at you. Who is this person? I've followed them now, or I've connected with them. now what? And so this is what I call, we have to prime our audience. We have to sort of, think of it like you almost have to train your audience a bit. You have to tell them who you are. You have to tell them what you do. And again, the word value is going to come up. We have to demonstrate what our value is to them. So in order to do that, and this ties in so much basically with what Elise and Natalie were saying, this is back to a business fundamental here. Before someone can become your client, they have to know you exist. But really, there's a lot of steps between the awareness that you exist to then becoming your client. And it's really called know, like, and trust. So we have to build that in to our audience. We have to have them get to know us. We have to put ourselves out there a little bit. And I know that can be hard. It was hard for me when I really first started doing this. You have to share a bit of yourself. You have to share what you do, and again, provide that information that people find valuable, because that's what they're going to keep coming back for. So for LinkedIn specifically, these are some things that you can do, and I'm going to cover mostly the profile, because this is kind of like your landing page. This is your identity on LinkedIn, really. And so you want to make it good. You want to spend time to get it right. And one of the first things, I call it, there's kind of like a LinkedIn trifecta, and it's what we call the banner, the headline, and the about section. Those are the three areas on your profile you want to nail. There's a lot more you can do with it, but if nothing else, start there. So I'm going to break this down just a little bit based on what I've done on my profile. So on the top banner, this is your biggest piece of real estate on the page. So you want to make it pretty clear. And it has to be, in my mind, I think we have to keep it pretty simple. People are, we got some short attention spans. If they don't get it, or it's not of interest to them in the first second or two, they're going to bail out and do something else. So we want to make it easy. We don't want to write a book up here. So in my case, I've just written, go from overlooked to celebrated thought leader in 90 days or less. So that's kind of a short encapsulation of what I do. The other thing that I do is I give them something to do now that they're here. So I say, go and grab the LinkedIn Growth Planner for coaches in my featured section. So now we've got them sort of like, oh, okay, we're going to have them engage with my profile a bit. The next one that is super important, possibly even more important than the banner, I would say, is your headline. And that's this sort of written part right here underneath your name. The reason why this is so important on LinkedIn is it follows you everywhere on the platform. If you're posting a comment, if you are sending a connection request, it's going to show your a little version of your face here, and it's going to show up to about maybe right here of your headline. It is going to cut off. So we want the best part of your headline to be at the very front, and we want people to understand what we do from reading it, because we want to entice them to actually come over to our profile if they just kind of see you somewhere on LinkedIn. So one of the mistakes I see a lot of people make is, kind of just putting like your job title or something kind of generic on your headline, which is probably okay if you're in, just kind of a business environment. But if you're actually trying to attract followers and actually get leads and get clients, you need to be more descriptive here. Let's see. The other things we want to do, we want to build some authority where we can, because we need people to understand that we're an expert at what we do. So you'll notice here, I have myself with a microphone. So that sort of implies, I'm speaking about what I do. Or here, I'm like teaching it on this little whiteboard. I have what's called a community top voice badge, which is something I would say the majority of people can earn with a little work. It is an invitation-only program, but I have noticed lately it's pretty open to most everybody unless you're just never active on the platform. So that is another, in my mind, it's credibility and it's social proof, actually. I mean, it's kind of like LinkedIn saying, hey, she's an expert at thought leadership. The next part of your profile, the third piece, is the About section. So your About section, the biggest mistake I see people making is I would say the first biggest mistake is they write it in like the third person. Like, Cassie lives in Houston, Texas, and has a husband named Rusty who's taking her picture in the back. We want this to be about you, and we want your voice to shine through. So say I. Say what you do. Tell who you are. Tell about your services, and that's probably the most important part. Your About section actually gives you a lot of character length to where you can talk about specifically your business. So this is important to have it be compelling. When you come in, and I think I'm off camera here for a second, but when you look at somebody's profile, they're only going to see this first sentence until they click, there's like a little read more. So that first sentence, kind of like your social media post, you've got to hook them in there. So it's worth spending some time and getting this really, well written. And so that's the tell part. The show part, you have a featured section. Sometimes you have to turn this on manually in LinkedIn. They're changing things on the platform in March, so this is going to be a little confusing, I think, over the next few weeks. But if you don't have this enabled, just go to your profile, and there's a part where you can enable other sections. But this is your opportunity to show value. I have a newsletter that people can subscribe to. I have a free audience research report. I highly recommend you all take advantage of that. It's a really cool thing. I do a client attraction assessment that I offer for free. So these are things that my audience is interested in. So that's what I do by showing them, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how you can benefit. Now, moving on here. We've talked about our audience. Let's talk about the content a little bit. We've talked about you want to share value, and we want to keep doing that. We want to keep doing our postings. One thing that's kind of nice about LinkedIn compared to maybe some of the other platforms, you don't have to post every day. I'd recommend at least 3 times a week. You probably will get more traction with 5 times a week, but 3 works. But now that you've got a great audience and you've primed them, what if they're still not really engaging? And I will say there is a little bit of a timing aspect to this. Elise was saying earlier, the first event in this series was about newbies. So when the priming is not necessarily instantaneous. Just keep that in mind. They're going to need to interact with you a bit. And you have, let's see, when someone newly connects with you, that first 2 weeks with them is the most important because the algorithm is going to push your post to them quite a bit during those first 2 weeks. So just kind of keep that in mind when you've got new folks and maybe you see someone that's like, wow, this is somebody I really want to make sure they're going to connect with me. But with these, but in terms of if your content is continuing to not get a whole lot of engagement, sometimes you have a mismatch of expertise level that you're sharing in your content. And I say that because I actually see this one a lot too. For instance, in my business, I would say I tend to work with folks that are not brand new to what they do in their business. They're usually not year one. They're usually a little more, they've been around a few years and they kind of want to get to that next step. So if everything I'm sharing is truly beginner on my content, it becomes generic to them and they're like, well, I'm already past this. I'm not really that interested. So I need to make sure that my content and my expertise level kind of gets adjusted to that nuance of my audience. And kind of the way I address this is I pay close attention every month to my audience. Like I kind of look at, especially the new ones, where are they located? I look over their profiles, how many years experience do they have, things like that, just so I'm kind of aware of who I'm attracting. And if I start to, kind of feel like maybe I'm not attracting my, kind of mid-level person, and then I need to kind of adjust my outreach. So that's just something to keep in mind. Just know that when you're sharing expertise, as an expert, it can be very easy to overlook your beginners because your knowledge, it's sort of subconscious. You're kind of already here, so something very basic, like you're not even thinking about it. So it's hard. So you kind of have to say, if I'm going to help someone who's a beginner, I've really got to kind of start at the beginning. Like, where was I day one? And really share that in my content. So just keep that in mind because I see that a lot. Next up. This one, when you're posting your content, this is kind of like a little bit of an easier fix, I would say. It could be a timing issue. It could be like, we're here in Houston, and so if all of my network is also in Houston, and I'm posting at 2 a.m. on a Saturday, I'm probably not going to get a lot of eyeballs on my on my content. And it's important because with LinkedIn's algorithm, it's really looking at 2 performance metrics right off the bat. It's going to look at the first hour and how it performs, and it's also going to look really hard at the first 24 hours. So if your content isn't performing very well in that kind of beginning stage, not saying it's not going to get any more reach, but it's going to be limited. When you get some really great engagement right away, the algorithm's going to pick it up and start kind of pushing it out more. I think this is true to say of really any of the social media platforms. Their ultimate goal is to keep their users on the platform as long as they can. So LinkedIn in particular is very sensitive to this because they're not an entertainment platform like TikTok or Instagram. So people are not just, hey, I'm going to log in for an hour and just enjoy LinkedIn. That just isn't what's going on. So LinkedIn is particularly sensitive to looking for those folks that have super engaging content and really helping them out. So the solution for this on the timing really is just kind of analyze your audience. And when you're also building your audience, you need to think about this timing aspect as well. I think it was Natalie, you mentioned how a lot of people buy followers. One thing to keep in mind with LinkedIn, it's not, and they even say it in their own materials, it's not a viral platform. It's really not about how many followers you have. Like Natalie was saying earlier, it's about the engagement. So don't fall into the trap of like going out to the entire world and trying to get everybody to follow you because your engagement will just tank. So you have to really know your audience and you have to be very prescribed in the steps you're taking. Next, with content, we want to keep eyeballs on it. We want to, as people are coming into their feed, we want them to see the content And then I call it make it sticky because we want these eyeballs then to stick to the content and read it or watch it all the way through. So there's a few ways to do this. I'm going to go through more of a written post. LinkedIn is still pretty big on kind of long form written posts. Video is popular on LinkedIn, just like it is on other platforms, but you can also get a lot going out of written. So a couple things that you need to be doing. We want to have a hook. We want to have something right at the top, because you see how it cuts off, that when you read this, it gets the attention. In this case, it says how to use humor in your content without looking silly. So that's something that my audience would be interested in knowing. The next thing we want to do, I'll come back on camera here. We want to have an eye-catching visual because that's going to help stop the scroll. And so here it's just me looking silly. And by the way, I don't know how to juggle. This is just like frozen frame. Next, we want to rehook them. So we've already hooked them at the top. They've read a little bit. They're starting to get bored. So we need to rehook them. So I'm telling them I've got 3 tips now on how to effectively use humor. Then I give them actual tactical things that they can do. And then I want to give them a call to action. In this case, I'm just asking for engagement. What tips do you have on this? All right. I think we're closing in on the last piece here. And this is kind of sad because I like cats. But this cat is reaching. That's why I have this photo here. We don't want to trigger the algorithm. So I'm not someone that is a big advocate of trying to write everything or do everything to please the algorithm. I would really recommend that you're audience-centric, but it doesn't hurt to know a few things about the algorithm just so you're not kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So these are some things that LinkedIn's algorithm, I'd say, is allergic to. Inconsistency is one. It goes back to that. If the algorithm is going to push your content, they want to know that you're going to show up. If they're investing in you, they want to know that you're going to be there. So one thing, if you are starting off with LinkedIn, you really need, and again, no instantaneous results. You need about 90 days of consistency. From there, big one, because I see this one all the time, external hooks. External hooks or links, sorry about that. External links, meaning like going to an article or something that's off platform. You can do it every once in a while, but I had like a client that I just started working with, like every post they were doing. The algorithm doesn't like that. But we've got several of these things that, in a sense, I've really already touched on them, but not having a complete profile, not being social, not participating, not being a member of the community, that's huge. So just to kind of sum it all up, this is what you can follow to be kind of a winning strategy on LinkedIn. We want to start off with researching your audience, have a polished profile. We want to build an audience and keep engaging with them and provide value through our content, and participate. Be a good citizen on the platform. And a couple of free resources. So this actually goes to my LinkedIn profile, so you can get those freebies that I talked about earlier. And then my Facebook group, I give a lot of LinkedIn resources there. And I have 2 webinars coming up. I'm doing a deep dive on the algorithm in a couple weeks, so you might want to come to that. It's pretty kind of interesting. I think that is it.
All right. We had a note earlier that they couldn't hear. I don't know if it's my microphone maybe or what, but I wanted to mention it. Okay.
I can see that everything's on and working.
Okay, good. Everybody, give a round of applause for Cassie. Thank you very much, my dear. So this is the moment where we go, we've been sitting here listening to everyone talk ad nauseum, and we need a break. Who agrees? Do we need a break? Okay, good. So this is a forced break, is what this is. I need you all to come up to me, and I have something to give you. And then if you need to go to the bathroom or anything like that, you can do that as well. And this is a secret surprise thing, so you're not allowed to open it. So you have to have it sitting in front of you, staring at it for the rest until I tell you to open it. If anyone needs to go to the bathroom, we are taking a 5-minute break, so you have a moment to go do that. You don't have to stay in here. We won't start for 5 minutes. All right. Did everybody come up and get their envelope? And for those of you, did we pause it or anything? Those of you who are online, we're taking a 5-minute break, so take a 5-minute break. All right. Did anybody still need to get an envelope? myself up here again. What do I need? I need this, and just in case. Those of you who aren't here in Houston, you missed out and you don't get to see the super secret envelope, and everybody that's in the room has to wait until we get to that again in a minute. But it's my turn again. Now this is my expert session. I'm Elise. I am a YouTube business strategist and visibility coach, and this is what I have to say about YouTube and followers and subscribers. So, we talked about the 5 stages of visibility. For those of you who weren't here, every single month we talk about a different stage, and this month we are talking about followers and subscribers. So, how does this impact YouTube? So, what I want to know before we jump into this is, I want to know how you guys feel about YouTube and how it can help you with these stages. So I've got 5 questions for you. I'll ask the first 1 or 2 and you'll probably follow along with what I'm doing. How many of you think that YouTube can help you with at least one of these stages of visibility? If you're online, I want you to drop a 7 in the chat if you think that it can help you with at least one stage of visibility. Put an 8 in the chat if you say, no, Elise, I don't think it can help you. And if you're here in the room, if you're like, yes, it can help me with at least one stage of visibility, raise your hand. And if you don't think it can, leave your hand down. Thank you. How many of you think that YouTube can help you with at least 3 stages of visibility? I want you to raise your hand or drop a 7 in the chat if you're online, or an 8 if you're like, no, Elise, they can't help me. And then how many of you think that YouTube can help you with all 5 stages of visibility? If you're in the room, raise your hand. If you're online, give me a 9 and a 10 if you're like, no, it can't help me. All right, so we pretty clearly had everybody say it probably can help me with all 5 stages. Are we all in that same boat? Okay, good. You are right. It would be really weird for me to make an event that then I couldn't help you with every event that I would do, right? So yes, YouTube can help you with all 5 stages. But today, we are focusing on subscribers. So I want to ask you another question. And this really kind of gets down to the point here. Do subscribers even matter? So I want to talk specifically about YouTube, but in general, this is a question, and as we go through this, it applies to pretty much any platform. So I'm speaking it from YouTube, but this is also true anywhere else. So I want you to think for just a moment in your head, do you think that subscribers actually matter? And I want you to raise your hand if you say, Elise, yes, they do matter. And I want you to keep your hand down if you say they don't. And if you're online, give me an 11 if you think they do, and a 12 if you think they don't. Okay. I actually really love this response. So we were about a 50-50 split here in the room for those of you who are not who are online, who are not in person. That's what I was looking for. And that's actually what I expected, because I think there's this kind of push right now in marketing that's like this weird combination of they do and they don't matter. And so I want to actually address this question before I talk to you about subscribers on YouTube, because if they're not important, why are we even talking about them, right? So this is about YouTube, but as I said, it can apply to many, many platforms. More subscribers equal more views. Period. On average, for every 100 subscribers on YouTube, a video receives between 8 to 14 views. So this is not across the board. These are averages. Some people have way less. Some people have way more. But essentially, you have 100 subscribers on your YouTube channel and you put out a video, you can pretty reasonably assume you're going to have somewhere around 8 to 14 people watch that video. So if you have 1,000 subscribers, more people would see the video because it's 8 to 14%, and a percentage means it's based on the original number, right? Is everybody with me on that? Okay. So a channel with 1,000 subscribers can expect double the video views of a channel with 500 subscribers. This would be 80 to 140 if you're on the 1,000 end, 40 to 170 if you're on the 500 end. Does that make sense? Do you see how subscribers could make an impact? Now, again, it kind of goes back to what Cassie was talking about. If you have the wrong subscribers, your numbers will be much lower than this. If you have the right subscribers, your numbers could be higher than this. These are averages. But the more subscribers you have, the more people YouTube has to push your video to, and the more people will watch it. They will view it. Does that make sense? Okay. So Why does that matter? You're like, okay, Lise, I can kind of get on board with that. That sort of makes sense. It seems logical. It matters because if you don't have any subscribers, you're not going to get any viewers who see that your video exists, so like the thumbnail, right? They're not going to click on your video. They're not going to watch your video. And we all know watch time is the king of YouTube. And so if you don't get watch time, you will not be able to present your offers for your business. You will not be able to make ad revenue if that's a goal. We're not going to get into that, but that may or may not be a goal for a business. And you definitely will not get any more subscribers. So the reason this matters, the reason that our subscribers matter is because it goes down this whole ladder of everything else that happens to you. Now, I'm sure that we've probably all heard the idea of now I'm not going to be able to say it right, and I don't have it in my notes because I just thought of it. Basically, you find 100 people who are like your ideal person. There's a phrase for that. If anybody knows what it is, feel free to scream it out to me. The idea is, it's a marketing idea. You basically go find 100 people who are exactly who you want to be like, and you kind of emulate them, or you go and find 100 of the people who you want to serve, and those 100 people can be enough to support your business. I've heard it both directions. Does that make sense? Is everybody following what I'm saying? Say it again? No, I'm not talking about lookalike audiences. It's like it's a strategy of building your business. You go out and you find 100 people, and the idea is that 100 people should be enough to support your business. Yeah. You don't even have to do a lookalike because a lookalike is coming then from those 100 people. The idea is just 100 people should be enough to support your business. Probably for all of us in this room, if you had 100 people who were your diehard raving fans, would you need anybody else? If you had 100 people buying your stuff, would you need anybody else? If I had 100 people buying my stuff, I wouldn't have to have anybody else. There you go. There's your question, right? But 100 people should be enough. So then why do we have to have this large number of subscribers? Because the reality is, even if you have 100 subscribers, they're not all diehards that are buying your stuff, right? So even though, yes, we can survive on smaller numbers, if they're all diehards, not every person that hears about you becomes a diehard. Does that make sense? Okay, that was kind of a little off. That wasn't part of my notes. So then the question becomes, how do I get more subscribers on YouTube, right? So is everybody with me on the idea of why subscribers are important? If you're not, this is your opportunity to speak up, and I'm happy to speak to whatever it is that you have a question about or that you aren't with me on. Go for it.
Okay, so I watch YouTube videos.
Uh-huh.
I've never subscribed to any.
Okay, that's fair. So that's from your perspective as a watcher. That's not from the perspective of the companies that you're watching. So I guess my question would be to you, the people that you're watching, how many subscribers do they have? You probably don't know, but do they have one subscriber, or are they like a popular channel?
I'm assuming, because if I just look it up, I'm assuming that they're pushing now what you're saying. They're pushing people that have a high number of subscribers. And sometimes I'll look and I'm like, oh, that's not what I'm trying to look for. Or they start talking and say something and I'm like, oh, no, wrong video. Let me scroll to the next. So it's just I see how it works.
Yes. So actually what you're saying is brilliant. I love that. Thank you for bringing that up. So what happens is you will ask a question. So we weren't really going to cover this, but I'm going to do it because it's my favorite thing to talk about anyways. YouTube is a search engine. It is not social media. So what you just described is you were searching for a specific thing. Whatever that thing is, it doesn't even matter. And YouTube presented you with a scrolling forever list of things that might answer that question, right? Typically, the people who have had the most success with their video is going to be at the top. Typically, that means they have more subscribers because those subscribers, a certain percentage of them saw their video, engaged with it, which told YouTube that that's a good video, and then they started pushing it to more people like you when you started searching for it, right? So because they had more subscribers, they got more initial views, which made it easier for them to prove to the algorithm that they actually are worth showing. Now, the further you scroll down, the more likely you are to come across someone who maybe doesn't have as many subscribers. Or if it's a topic that isn't well covered, which still exists, believe it or not, on YouTube, you may find that there's only one real expert in that field. And even if they have a small number of subscribers, they still show up. For most of us in this room, because I've talked to several of you, you're probably not in an industry where you're the only person that is an expert in your field. So that little fun thing that can happen probably isn't your scenario, which means you really need to try and get more subscribers. Does that make sense? Is everybody on board with that? Does anybody have any other questions or want to try and poke holes in my idea here? Go for it, Markeisha.
More like a comment.
Okay.
It might be for another time. But what about like when you don't have a lot of subscribers, but then like one of my posts on YouTube got 13,000 views? So if that.
Yeah, so there's a couple reasons why that might happen. So I don't know about specifically to you, but sometimes I see that when I look at channels because they did something to make that happen. So maybe they paid for an ad, or maybe they were shared by somebody else, which can happen a lot. So if a really big person shares your content, suddenly you get a lot of things. It could even be that it wasn't someone on YouTube. Someone somewhere else found you and started talking about you, and now your video gets viewed. So in an instance like that, that tells me that either you found something that was in that tiny pool we just talked about, where you were the only person talking about it, and therefore you got found when people looked for it. But depending upon how quickly you had those numbers, I would suspect it came from something else. Someone else suggested it, or it got talked about somewhere. I would look into your analytics and see what happened. Look at where the views came from and all of that stuff. Look at when it happened, because sometimes it's a very specific, pinpointable thing that you said or someone else did, and then do that again. Figure out why that happened and repeat it, because you did something right. And then the real thing is, and this is something that I see people miss a lot, is have every video be ready for something like that to happen. So I talk a lot about how much content you need to be putting out. If every single video you put out is excellent, but you never call them to action, or you never ask them to subscribe, or you never tell them to do anything with that video, you can have one video that does exceptionally well that doesn't help you at all. And that is the worst thing to have happen. You want that when you have that video that goes viral like that, that video then propels your YouTube channel and your business forward. You don't want it to be that one that you're like, man, I wish I would have said something. Man, I wish I would have told them this. Because you can't, on YouTube, you can't change that later. You can cut pieces out of your video, but you can't add pieces to a video. So that's why it's really important that you make sure every video is sharing the information that you want to share. Does that help? Okay.
I think just basic content too. Like what was the content within that video, and is it consistent with the rest of your channel?
And look at where people came in and where they left. There's so many pieces. Analytics is so multi-leveled. If at some point you want to share the video with me and you want to get on a call, we can look at your analytics and we can kind of hash it out. It's something that, I have a whole course about how to do your analytics and things. And I don't know for you, and I'm not speaking into you, but some people just kind of never are able to really understand how to figure that out. And some people are really good at that. Sometimes you just need to be taught how. Sometimes it's just not in your wheelhouse, right? Like, we're all good at certain things. So if you ever want to jump into it, I'd be happy to look at it with you and see if we can figure out where it came from. Okay, so how do we get subscribers on YouTube? So when I actually talked to ChatGPT when I did this presentation to help me clarify my own brain thoughts, okay? And when I said to ChatGPT how to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, it gave me like 879 things. And I was like, that's dumb. I was like, okay, let's go back to Elise knowledge and forget about ChatGPT. And I love ChatGPT. I'm not, whatever, but this is my Elise knowledge. You have to set up your foundations, you have to engage and connect, and you have to use data-led content, okay? 3 things, that's it. Now you all are good, right? We can stop? Yeah. Okay, cool, bye. Okay, so let's talk about them. So how do you set up your foundations? I know I said 3 things, now I'm gonna break it down into more things, sorry. You have to define your niche. And this is gonna actually sound very similar to what Cassie said earlier about LinkedIn, because the reality is these are very foundational business realities. You have to do these things if you wanna be successful on social media, on a search engine in general. So who is your niche? I can't read that, that's too far away and it's tiny. Identify a specific area of expertise to focus your content. So for you, my dear, like Natalie said, what the flip got you 13,000 or whatever you said views? Maybe you should consider being in that niche, okay? High quality content. So this goes 2 ways. This has to do with both your video quality and sound quality, but it also has to do with like how good what you're presenting is, right? If your video is boring, peace out, yo, I'm done, right? So having high quality content is important. So it says produce high quality videos that offer exceptional value. Search optimization. Algorithm, everybody hates the algorithm. YouTube is a game. You learn the rules of the game, you play the game, you win big, period. Search engine optimization is a huge part of the game. So for those of you who are like, I don't want to spend the couple of hours figuring out my keywords for my channel, sorry, you're going to have a hard time. You have to use search optimization. You have to look up the right keywords that are going to get you found so that you can lean into the fact that YouTube is a search engine. So incorporating relevant keywords to improve your visibility, and then consistent posting. Maintain a regular upload schedule and share it with viewers. Have you ever noticed that a lot of YouTube channels, it says new videos every week or new videos every Tuesday or the whatever? It's because that tells people when they should look for their content. And your diehard raving fans will come back for that. Not everybody will, but your diehard raving fans will. This is really huge on YouTube. And I want to point out that I did not give you any numbers here. I did not tell you what consistent posting means. I did not tell you what a regular upload schedule is. Did not address any of those things here. That is intentional. That is not because I do not know. It is because it is a little bit different for everybody when it comes to YouTube. I will give you bare minimums though, because I'm sure many of you now that I pointed it out are wondering. Bare minimums. One video. I'm gonna need an aid. One video. We're talking real old school videos, YouTube style, horizontal, actual videos, okay? A month. You want to be better? You want to improve your odds? One video a week. But bare minimum, one video a month. Ideal time, 10 to 14 minutes. That is step one. That has to do with search engine optimization. Second, shorts. The newbie wannabe social media of YouTube. Shorts, you want to be posting a couple of times a week, kind of like what Cassie said about LinkedIn. 3 is good, 5 is better. You have to use both. This leans into the search. This leans into the social media aspect. These 100% of the time, okay, maybe 99% of the time, shorts get more views than videos. So if you are not using shorts, you are not getting in front of as many people. If you are not using videos, your content will not last forever. We're actually going to talk about that in a second. But so you have to use both. The strategy of I'm going to use one or the other for a business does not work. For an entertainment channel, it's a different story, but for a business, it doesn't work. Yes, my dear.
So what's a short?
So a short is a vertical video, which is why I was holding my phone that way, that is under a minute. That's essentially the only specifications, but there's tons of different kinds that you can do.
It's like a TikTok.
It's like a TikTok video or a reel. Yeah, I know you're not really on social media much. Okay, so that is setting up your foundations. Does anybody have any other questions about the foundations here? Okay. So if you want help with this, I have a PDF download that is free. It is called Purpose and Profit, and it is the goldmine blueprint for current and future YouTubers with passion. It is the step-by-step YouTube strategy. It literally breaks down for you how to do this. It talks about shorts, it talks about videos, it talks about how many, all of those good things. And if you use the QR code back there, it'll take you to the slides. You can get it that way as well. It's if you go to my Facebook group, it's also in the banner there. So this will help you with that step-by-step strategy. This will help you mostly with the foundations. Okay, next thing we said was to engage and connect. Look, there's only 3 on this one, so we're doing better. First, you have to connect with your viewers. This one I can read better. I have to remember to make them bold next time. Actively responding to comments, solicit feedback, and use strong call to actions. So this is making a connection. Cassie talked about it a lot. Same idea here. We want to be connecting with them. We don't want them to see us as a faceless, nameless nobody. I personally have had people find me on YouTube. I talk to them in their comments when they say things, and they end up coming and buying from me because I connected with them, because I took the effort to say hi to them. Invite your existing audience. And this is something that me and other YouTube strategists argue about. But inviting your existing audience means that you're sharing your videos across different platforms and online communities to widen your reach. Basically, wherever you already have people, email list, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever the flip it is, you tell them about your videos when you release them, and they will go watch them if they actually like you or if they're interested, right? What this does is it tells YouTube these people are interested in my stuff. And if you use the right special link, when you tell them to go to it, it'll automatically ask them to subscribe, right? So invite your existing audience. This helps YouTube to know. Plus, if those people already know, like, and trust you, they will subscribe to your channel because they'll want to know what you're doing when you release more videos. And then finally, collaborate with others. So partner with other creators to expose your channel to additional audiences. So this is something that is actually very similar to what I'm doing here, except on YouTube. You connect with somebody else. Maybe they're an expert in Instagram, and I'm an expert in YouTube, and we connect so that they can share on Instagram and I can share on YouTube. It could be different platforms. Or maybe they have a channel about selling your home, and you have a channel about how to get rid of all the extra crap that's sitting in your home because you're a hoarder. The two of you collaborate because guess what? The same person is going to be the audience for both of you. And because you do that, you get the opportunity to get in front of more people, just like Natalie and Tiffany and Cassie and I are doing right now. So first, you have to make your foundations. Second, you have to engage and connect. These things are prerequisites to getting subscribers. Because do you remember that line that we talked about at the beginning? The difference between being interested and connected? The way you get them to cross that line is by doing these things. Moving them from newbies to subscribers to leads to, I like to call them allies, but raving fans might be a word that you're more familiar with. And then our final thing, so if you want help with that, in my Facebook group, Fearless Entrepreneurs, I have step-by-steps in the guides that have videos associated with them. So it takes what's in that PDF and actually has more than just the PDF. So it goes into even more detail. This is also where you can ask for help with YouTube, and I will answer your questions. We have, more importantly than that, you can share your videos in that group, and people will go and watch them if they are your right audience. Very particular about don't go and watch someone's videos if you're not their audience because you don't want to mess up their algorithm. So if you'd like to join us there and get more help with YouTube, that is facebook.com/group/MSBizzers. Okay, and now finally our third thing is a data-led content strategy, which is what I was just talking about. You have to analyze, adapt, and promote. So look at what you've already done, see what made it do what it did, adapt to that, do something different, and then promote the thing that starts to work correctly. So, Natalie is all about ads. One of the things I know she would tell you is you shouldn't be running an ad if you don't know if that ad already works. So you look at what you did, you analyze it, you make a new thing. The new thing is awesome. Now you can run it as an ad. You don't take the thing that sucks, that you couldn't get any response to, run it as an ad and think it's going to do well. That's not how it works. All of these things help you get to the point where your people know you, feel connected to you, and want to subscribe. And I actually think it's really interesting what you said earlier about you watch a lot of videos, but you don't subscribe. One of the things about YouTube is it is a very subscription-focused platform. So when you just say, subscribe to my channel to get more tips about how to use YouTube for your business, guess what happens? People subscribe. So ask in the video and ask on every single video. Don't just ask that. Tell them to go get a freebie. Tell them to go buy a thing. You need to be giving them call to actions. And it isn't sleazy. It isn't salesy. It is making sure that you can help them. Do you want them to struggle or do you want them to get your help? Because I'm doing this because I want everybody that I talk to be able to move forward with their business. And I wouldn't spend my time one Saturday a month doing this if I didn't want to help you. And that's, I know what you want for your people as well. So how do you get subscribers on YouTube? You follow those 3 steps and you ask them to subscribe. And if you want help with YouTube for your business, you can join my Facebook group. But I have one final thought. Now you would think I would know what that thought was, but I don't. Oh, okay, I remember what that thought was now. There is one final thing that separates YouTube from other platforms. This is another thing I really like to talk about. It's that YouTube is a search engine, which we talked about a minute ago. But it's beyond that. It is not a post it and everybody forgets about it 40 minutes later platform. It is a platform where your content lives on. It is a platform where someone can find your video 4 years later and still connect with you and ask for help. So unlike social media, where you can put stuff out and it's there for a few minutes and then it's just gone, this lasts, which is another reason why it's so essential that in your videos you are asking those questions, you are telling them to do those things. I just recently talked to a client. She actually scheduled time with me to ask me about her business. She spent about a year building a pretty good YouTube channel. She had a very big following. She did really well. It's for her business. And then she didn't do anything for 4 years. 4 years. And for that entire 4 years, she kept getting leads. She kept getting clients. She kept growing her business from that 1 year of effort that she had put in because she followed these rules that we just talked about. And the reason she made an appointment with me was because she goes, I'm not getting as many leads now. Other people have come in and have become experts in this field that I was doing so well in. What do I need to do to get it back? And so after 4 years, she was going to have to actually make an effort again to keep it going. But she essentially took a vacation from YouTube for 4 years and continued to reap the benefits. And that is my final thought. You can take a vacation from YouTube. This is not a hamster wheel type of place. This is you invest the time, you decide that YouTube is your game this year, you do it, and it delivers forever. That's the value of a search engine. So, you can take a vacation and still be visible. Evergreen content is powerful. This means it lasts forever, like an evergreen tree. And because I believe that so much, because I've seen it time and time again, I want to give you a free vacation voucher. So if you would like to have a free vacation voucher for 8 days and 7 nights in 3,500 destinations, blah, 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 whatever, email me and I will send you the voucher. No, I'm not telling you I'm giving you a free vacation. I'm telling you I'm giving you a free vacation voucher. The way it works is you pay $20 to activate it, and then you'll have to pay taxes on the vacation when you go. But I've personally used these, and I can tell you, you save a lot of money. So if you're interested, you can email me. I actually also send this to everyone once you sign in, so you'll get it in a couple days automatically if you signed it. You can use it or not, that's your choice. But I want you to remember that YouTube is the place where you can actually take a vacation. And that is how YouTube can help you with followers and subscribers. My name is Elise Michelle. I'm a YouTube strategist. That means that I help you reach your people, teach your people, and close the sale with YouTube. In essence, get more visibility. And now it is time for Miss Tiffany. I don't even know if you have slides. Do you have slides?
So I think my old ones are up there.
Okay.
But we have a decision to make, right? So y'all don't know me. My name is Tiffany Mason, and I'm a sales strategist, right? And I work with business owners to help them find the holes of why you're not making sales in your business, okay? Very typical of me to go completely off script. So whatever is on this slideshow, probably not even going to talk about it because I have a question for you guys. And by a show of hands, I would like to know, do you consider yourself to be an established business owner? If you're an established business owner, this means that you are already generating revenue in your business and that you are looking to possibly expand to make more money or find more clients. If that's you, just kind of raise your hand. I'm kind of curious. Okay. And then for those of you who don't consider yourselves to be established, does this mean that you are a new business owner looking for like your first 3 clients? If that's you, let me see. Everybody else. Okay. You're in between?
Yeah.
How many clients do you need?
Well, I've had my first 3.
You've had your first 3?
Need more.
Okay. How many more do you need?
An unlimited amount.
Unlimited.
She's a mortgage broker, so it's like as soon as the house sells, then you know,
Yeah, you
they're
gotta
not
start
like
over.
easily returning customers.
Okay, does everybody else feel this way? Is everybody else like, I gotta move because this light's in my face. Does everybody else feel the same way? Are you looking for an unlimited amount of sales or clients?
Yeah.
Yes. Really? Okay, here's another question. What is your goal? That's different, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So who's bold? Like I would like for you to share with me, what is your goal for your business every month? You can give it to me in number of clients, or you can give it to me in number of revenue.
I would just say 5 closings a month.
5 closings a month? What about you?
So it's a part-time business. So right now my goal is $2,500 a month.
2,500, Miss Ma'am here.
Well, I'm a counselor, but my practice is in Austin.
Okay.
So I'm trying to expand to the Houston area.
Amazing. So you already have a pretty solid base in Austin? Okay. And sir?
What was the question? Sorry.
So we're talking about our sales goals. So you can either tell me in revenue for the month, or you can tell me in number of clients that you would need.
For me, it's more clients, so it would be at least 5 a month.
5? Okay. And then what about you, Helen?
I would say number-wise, 40 to 50 a month.
40 to 50 a month? Okay. And to consider yourself established in Houston, what's your number?
You talking to me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. What was your name? I'm sorry. What was your name?
Victoria.
Victoria. I apologize. Yes, Victoria.
I would say probably 40 to 50 clients
A month?
a month. Yeah.
Okay. But yours would be reoccurring, right?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So I asked that question because on this slideshow is something we are not going to talk about. We're actually going to talk about followers, subscribers, and how we can gain more, because that's what the topic is for today, right?
Yep.
This, let me click it. I'm gonna click it and show you guys just so you didn't think of making it up. That really is me, just like 20 pounds lighter, a lot of makeup. But anyways, 1 kid ago. Here we go. Okay. So what I wanted to talk to you guys today was about cold outreach. But a lot of you are not, okay, let's talk about this. Cold outreach is great if you're trying to figure out how you can find more ideal clients, which actually is what generates the leads, and which is actually how you get to having raving fans like Elise talks about, right? But cold outreach is really beneficial for people who are looking for new opportunities. If you, let me go forward here. If you are a service-based business, somebody who is a B2B service provider, you have specialty products, but basically cold outreach is for people who desire to have more clients sooner rather than later, and you should have a proactive personality and an expansive mindset in order to make cold outreach work for you. Should I keep going? Should we keep talking about this? Is anybody interested, or you want to go off script? Because, okay, we'll go. We'll go. Because I'm just kind of like, because what I wanted to do was spend the time with you guys for something that you can actually walk away with on how do I implement this into my business. And Ms. Victoria, for someone like you who already has an established business, there are different ways to make cold outreach work. I don't know, how many of you are familiar or have tried cold outreach in your business before? Okay.
I was saying, you might need to define
What cold outreach is? Okay.
I mean, I know you just said it.
Yeah, no. I'm going to tell you. So cold outreach is where you can obtain, generate, create, or use a database of people, and you can call them, you can text them. The reason we call it cold outreach is because they have never heard of you ever before, right? And the reason I say it takes an expansive mindset in order to do this is because a lot of people's first thought is, This is so like spammy and I don't want to do it. But I'm going to tell you something. If you're looking for a way to be able to, whether it's to establish your business or expand it with minimal effort, and in a way that you can have something that you can kind of set and just forget it and just let people book on your calendar, cold outreach is an amazing way to go. If you are looking for a way to be able to build a community, if you're looking for a way to be able to find people to invite to things that you have going on, cold outreach is the way to go. Now, I do not suggest, and I think it might have been Elise or Natalie, I can't remember who said it, but I do not suggest that you just reach out to everybody and their mama. Cold outreach, you do need to qualify who it is that you want to speak to, right? So, for example, if you are Helen, right? And Helen's company does junk removal from homes, right? And Helen wants to expand into as many residences and areas as she can, right? So for you, you know that you're looking at, you and I had a conversation about looking at senior living facilities, right? People who are moving into senior living facilities have homes that they're moving out of. And it's typically either an estate sale or it's like a full move, right? Is kind of what Helen and I talked about. So for you to be able to email these facilities and find out who the contact person is, like, so usually there's like a move coordinator or something like that. I don't know their exact title, but for you to be able to email those people and let them know about the services that you provide and suggest some type of partnership where they're being compensated for referring your business and you're also you're getting the business would make sense. This means you're expanding your business, but guess what? You're not getting on the pavement every single day, getting in front of people who are going to slam the door in your face. You're creating a targeted campaign that goes after people. You know exactly what these moving coordinators are going to be looking for. You know what I'm saying? So like you can use cold outreach in various different ways. For Miss Victoria right here, as a therapist or counselor, right? Counselor, therapist, okay. Because if you are a doctor, I really want to say that. Like I don't want to. But if you're a therapist and you are expanding into the Houston area, have you thought about how you're going to do that? Because there are ways that you can use cold outreach to reach your clients, but it does need to be targeted. So it would have to be a thought out campaign. You would never want to say like, oh, I'm just going to go after women who are 35 and I'm going to put them on an email list and email them. That is spammy. But if you were going after women who are already utilizing like a particular substance abuse medication, I don't know what type of therapy you do, but just like, I'm just going to use substance abuse as an example. You can always find the types of medications that people are taking because of the abuse that they've had. There's way to narrow it down as to who would really be looking for what you have. You can always look at the types of services that they're already using that are complementary to what you do. And you can do this in Austin. This doesn't even have to be a Houston thing, but that are complementary to what you do and create a targeted campaign that way and reach out to them and let them know what you have available. You know what I'm saying? So there are various different ways that you can do this. It's not just like a whole one size fits all, right? There has to be a strategy behind doing it. And that's actually what makes it work. And a lot of people will talk to people about cold outreach, but not explain that there's a whole strategy and that goes behind putting these things together. So benefits of cold outreach, as I said, this is something that you can automate. Once the campaign is put together, once you know who you want to talk to and exactly what you want to say, you're setting it up and it can go out automatically. It's not something that you have to be monitoring every single hour. I would suggest you do check it on a daily basis so you can check out your analytics and see your results. but this is not something you're not manually sending email. We're not using MailChimp or MailerLite. No, they're not even Go High Level, because there is something inside Go High Level that you can make this work with, but it's not Go High Level by itself, right? So there's particular email software that you need to use, and they're very affordable. He don't want to go. He's crying. But there's different pieces of software that you can use, and a lot of it is extremely affordable. If it's something that you're interested in, I can get you some links to some stuff. A lot of them have free trials. I mean, it's very, very easy to do. So it's really little to no financial investment into setting this up. So remember I talked to you before and I was like, if there's a whole strategy that goes behind this, there is. And this is kind of like the blueprint for it, is that you do need, like I talked about, a system, right? So don't use MailChimp, don't use all of the basic ones. ActiveCampaign, no, don't use those things. And the reason you don't want to use them when you're doing something like this is because you'll get your domain banned. And people will no longer get your emails. I don't know if you've ever heard people say, I'm sending emails, but it keeps going into people's spam boxes. This is why they don't have their software set up properly. They have not properly warmed up their email domains that they're using, and they're probably not using the right system. I mentioned this before, their targeted list will put a lot of thought into who it is that we want to reach out to and what we want to say, which is our pitch. There are ways, which is why you use the right systems. There are ways to customize this pitch so that everything doesn't sound so robotic, right? One thing that really makes cold outreach work is that people have learned how to personalize what it is that they're trying to convey, right? Because remember, it's a person on the other side of this email that's reading what you have and what you have to offer. And they're already getting what we call canned emails from other people who are trying to pitch them services. Yours needs to stand out and be different, right? So when we put these packages together, we make sure that this pitch is personalized. It does not sound like a robot. It sounds like it's personal and custom to the person that is opening it. And the fourth piece to your cold outreach system, and to be honest with you, this goes for anything that you're doing. So as you guys are accruing followers, subscribers, whether you're putting together a targeted list, it doesn't matter what you're doing, this follow-up part is the part where a lot of business owners drop the ball. This is not something that you can just like you can't message somebody one time and expect them to buy from you. It's the same thing with cold email, right? You can't post on Facebook one time and just expect them to buy from you. The only place that you can post one time and get them to buy that I have heard is YouTube, right? So, I mean, I'm not trying to, this should at least gave us the example. But if you're depending on, what you're choosing to do for your business in order to get in front of people, but you just have to remember, this follow-up piece is important. 80% of sales are made here. 80% of all of your sales for your business are going to be made in the follow-up. So it's not just a follow-up one time. There's a whole strategy with how you follow up with people. And I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're doing cold email, outreach, phone calls, if you're DMing people, it doesn't matter. If you're going door to door, it doesn't matter. There's a whole strategy with how you follow up with people. Each individual business should have their own imprint or their own print on how that happens. And a way that people fail at doing these things is because you try to make it look like somebody else's stuff. We're small business owners and we're very unique. And everything that we do, from our systems, our outreach, our follow-up, are the people that we are choosing to reach out to, is unique. It is unique to us and what we do. So you have to make sure that it's okay to follow blueprints, but it's really important to make sure that you're getting with people like Natalie or like Miss Cassie or with Elise to get something that fits how your business runs, okay? So I just put some metrics up here to kind of give you guys an idea of how successful cold email can be, right? So this is just a guide. Here's 300 emails that were sent in a campaign. An open rate of 12%, with an open rate of 12%. This means out of the 300 emails that you sent, 36 people opened it and read it and looked at it. How many people can say honestly that 36 people looked at your business offer yesterday? Right. So this is really key. So 36 people opened it, and 10% of the people that opened it actually converted into a sale. So this is 3 sales just from 3 emails. These are real analytics that come from another. I have an email marketing coach personally, and these are real live analytics that we use, that we kind of gauge when we're launching any kind of email campaign or any kind of cold email campaign. So if you can't say that, so you cannot say that cold email, I would say it like this, don't dismiss it. If you can't say that you have 300 people today that you can reach out to, don't dismiss this if you cannot say that 36 people looked at your offer yesterday and actually considered you as an option. And do not dismiss this if you cannot say that you did not make a minimum of 3 sales yesterday or today. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you go back to the other slide?
This one?
That says number of conversations.
Yes.
Is it sales?
So this is it. Yes. This is actually sales conversations. Yes. It's sales.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's sales. Oh, I was like, I thought we were going somewhere else.
That word I read, like conversions or whatever, default. It meant sales in my head.
It meant sales, yeah. Yeah, it meant sales. So I'm Tiffany. This is a QR code that if you want to have a conversation just about any holes that you have in your business and why people may or may not be buying from you, you can scan this QR code and schedule some time with me. I do complimentary sales reviews all the time. But yeah, that's basically all I have, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, I think we have to curtsy next time. That would be so awesome. Yes. I'm going to start incorporating curtsying into these. I think that's awesome. Thank you, Tiffany. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing next. Let's see what it says. Oh, guess what? Those of you who are online, you are done. You don't get to do all the extra awesome sauce like opening our envelopes or joining an expert. If you're in the Houston, Cypress area, you should join us in person next time. And thank you so much for joining us this time. I'm going to cut it off. All right. So for everybody that's here in person,